Hey everybody, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Connor.
So today we're going to be talking about a topic, as we tend to do here. What actually happened to Philippa Georgiou at the end of this last episode of Discovery Terra Firma Part 2?
Well, it's pretty clear, Stuart. She stepped through the Guardian of Forever, near the Gamma Quadrant, went back in time. That's all you need to know, right?
Well, yes. Yeah, well, he said, I'm going to send you to a time when the universes were... What did he say exactly? Can't remember. When they were more in sync with each other, which you would think is the time between Enterprise and DS9, because that's when the most crossings happen that we know of.
And we know that, as you pointed out last time, it would not make sense to go back before Philippa Georgiou's death, because then there'd be two Georgious, although it could be interesting from a narrative perspective if you're trying to tell a new story, maybe go into the NX era and show the formation of Section 31 or something like, or at least, how it expanded. But yes, it wouldn't make too much sense. So it's got to be after that. So it's after Discovery. You'd assume it'd be, the easy option, which I hope not for, is for her to sort of walk out in Shazad Latif's office 4.5 days after Discovery Season 2 ended, And then she just comes in right where, then means you can use Pike, Spock, Shazad, L'Rell, vaguely the sense of the universe. Although now you've got the ticking clock down to, then we should be TOS. And obviously the closer they get to that, the less they're going to care about make it look like TOS, and then the more annoyed the fans are going to be because they obviously don't, whatever. So that's the obvious, just boom, put it there. But what do you think?
I think what's going to happen is they're going to start Strange New Worlds, and she's going to show up in one of the episodes as a special ops person or a specialist, and Pike's going to be like, we need to talk. And he found out what happens to Discovery. She's part of Section 31 now. And then it's going to be like an Assignment Earth type deal where the adventures of Gary 7 will continue with Miss Roberta Lincoln in a future series. And then it'll be Section 31 lead-in for the show, which I'd be fine with because Captain Georgiou's dead, but people can still think this is the Prime Georgiou.
Which they have done. Many people have.
Yeah, absolutely. So that would kind of work for me. If it starts out with a cameo or two in Strange New Worlds and then leads into a Section 31 show, fine. That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting with what they're trying to do, because then they can just include her in the new show and still use the sets from that era for her show, and there's a lot of possibilities there. So that's what I think.
Well, let's briefly mention that when you come to producing a TV show, space is money and time is money. And so when we say reusing sets, costumes, and pieces, they do not have still the set and pieces from the Section 31 sets, because they would, or at least standing, because they would need them spaces for all the Season 3 locations, props, and whatever. And then if you are keeping them standing from Season 2, then you're looking at between a 16 to 25 month storage space, and that, while obviously we kept in the stages or close by, not being used the space costs them money because they can do limited things. And that bridge was the Shinjo bridge, so they chose to rebuild on top of the other one rather than build a whole new bridge, because it's meant to build a whole new bridge, and it will be to reassemble, because especially it's a 2-tier setup. So that set is no longer existing. It would be extremely unlikely, and it may have been kit bashing something else in Season 3.
I think it was redone to be Starfleet Command, because that's 2-level at least. Multi-level, they could have rejiggered it, repainted it to make it the new Starfleet. Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Well, no, I'd agree with that in the sense that they'd rip every single thing out except the walls, because there's nothing there that.
And
looks
it's still
like
2-level, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah.
Although is it though? Because there's one VFX breakdown where it was a VFX shot they made the 2 levels together, so it's very likely it may not be 2 levels because you don't see that many looking up. So that set, let's assume, doesn't exist anymore, or at least doesn't exist as it did. Obviously, you could rebuild it, but then it's the exact same cost of building the first time. It's not cheaper the second time. It might be quicker. It's not cheaper. Same with the corridors. There hasn't been those corridors. So anything that would be designed, would they redesign the limited? Remember again, if they only had the money to kit bash an existing set, they weren't going full brand spanking money set. So why would they go back to a kit bash set for a scratch build? So anything in a Section 31 show, you would assume be fresh and new, and not need to use the old assets. Then you've got to ask the question, if they are doing a Section 31 crossover, how much can you build to make that make sense? And, because if that comes out of the Strange New World budget, then it'd have to be a major part of the first episode, but we've explicitly heard from Ethan and such, it's a positive exploration show. So showing Section 31 in the first episode, 2 episodes, really has the opposite symbolization. It's like, here we are trying to do a TOS representative show, but let's put the darkest element of Trek in the first episode. So while possible, it might even just be tonally wrong. So if they're not going to do that, then suddenly you don't have to link those 2 eras directly. So let's say it's not Discovery era, because she's got the unlimited time travel key. She went back to somewhere. Where would be most interesting to be apart from that post Discovery?
See, that's what I want to say. I want to say the Lost era with the Enterprise C, but I don't want them touching that era because they can't do TOS right. So why would I want them to do that? If they could do the Lost era perfectly, the way it should be done, cool. Let's explore that but we know that they can't. So not cool. Don't do that. They're going to go back to the Strange New Worlds. It's going to tie in with that. It's going to be pre-Kirk, leading into TOS, and they're just going to maintain the visual language for their universe, which is Prime, but the Discoverse. But I would like to see the Lost era. I've been saying that forever. A lot of people have. Got the good uniforms, got the cool ships.
I mean, we have seen, obviously, the team for Picard and Discovery and Lower Decks are all different. So one respecting canon does not equate them all. Different showrunners. Now, while Kurtzman is involved in all 3, you could tell he's not involved in Lower Decks. I think, fair to say, Discovery Season 3, he was far less involved, doesn't feel like a Kurtzman show. He was clearly involved in Picard more, and look what happened there. But they did respect some of the visual canon, although they did change, like the comm badge isn't the same, even though it should be exactly the same, etc. There's a few things, but they do more. They have TNG uniforms, etc. So they at least tried to be consistent. Lower Decks, on the other hand, was absurdly consistent to the point of tears. TOS was identical, etc. So it's hard to say what this new team would be because it's another team, a Section 31 show team. So maybe that team might tell their artists, we do want to respect canon more. And maybe as the years have gone on, as things are progressing closer towards respecting the fans, if we do see a Wrath of Khan era, we may see something. But it's frustrating, Stuart, because Mandalorian is based on art design from Star Wars, which is decades old. Yes, it had a higher budget, yeah, but lots of their technology looks antiquated that you wouldn't think of being futuristic. Although obviously a few things were futuristic, but TOS had some futuristic stuff too. It's depressing as all hell when you watch a show where it fits into their era and it perfectly. And I'm sure the creatives would actively not hire people to the art team that would say, let's take this Imperial design language and change it completely. They're like, why? Oh, it should update it. They're like, no, this takes place in this era. You don't change it. That I'm sure as a decree, which is this is the visual language. We can modify this slightly new things. Like if there's a new trooper, wow, he's so much more advanced. Yeah, it's a new trooper. That's fine. So maybe at some point we're going to get an artist, a team that will say that, and then we can get an appropriately done Wrath of Khan era that is not reinventing the wheel, it's just making the wheel look a bit shinier.
I would hope so. It's funny because, it's like Doug Dresser says, TOS is a period piece. It should look like that, and it has looked like that until Discovery came along.
And Lower Decks confirms in another show it does. That's the thing. Yep. Lower Decks are double, triple confirmed.
Well, Lower Decks is the Mandalorian of Star Trek right now, because Mandalorian, they've kept the X-Wings, they kept everything. They could have been making new ships to sell new toys, but as it is, you can go into your toy box, grab your X-Wing, your Slave One.
Mandalorian accurate!
Yeah, exactly. So
because that's how the universe works.
Yeah, you'd expect from Disney for them to be a little bit greedy and be like, oh, we can make money, we can do new things. But they didn't. They respected what came before.
Well, we know the toy sales were not particularly good for the new films for multiple reasons. But if you're inventing, it's like with Star Trek Beyond, like every new alien is a new alien, and how many could we possibly name?
I don't know, but they put 50 in because it's the 50th anniversary,
and it meant nothing.
No, it didn't.
Good for the art people, but it didn't do anything, and they've never been used again, any of them. Whereas look at like TMP, those aliens have actually been brought back into Discovery. So older aliens, because why haven't they brought Beyond aliens? They've now got license, etc. So if they just said, let's bring back 50 aliens from Star Trek, boy, they would have got a lot of credit, etc. So if they did, and I do think honestly a TMP or post TOS, which allows us to jump 20 years, say, because Discovery is pre. So let's go post, first year of the refit, or well, no, let's say first year of the new uniforms. So maybe you can even make a joke of like Georgiou walking onto a new bridge, like first scene is obviously she's settled, and the new Rathacon uniforms have come into being. Like they're the brand new uniforms, and she's like, awesome, love them, great, very Mirror. What? Nothing. Or maybe they can retcon, say she helped design the TWOC uniforms, which explains why they're so aggressive looking in comparison to the pajamas.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I didn't like the pajamas I had to wear, so I just helped with the new uniform design.
I mean, it's a weird one, but there is some vague logic to it. But that era of Trek is great because there's a growing tension. What?
It ties in with what she had to wear. I'm a spermatozoid. There's a lot of jokes to be had here. Where she's wearing the skin-tight leotard. That looks very much like a motion picture. So that would be funny. Tie that joke in with the I want to design a new uniform. Anyway, sorry.
See, you use canon, you can have fun with it, even the new canon. But that era is great because we know that the tensions of the Klingons are rising to a peace, but they're forced into a peace. And if the team respected it, if the Mandalorian team or the Lower Decks team was doing it, we'd have a lot more faith. But to tell the Section 31 political story, use Star Trek 6 as the baseline. Like, that is the baseline. We're going to do it in this era with the Klingons, but proper Klingons. And you can even have L'Rell. The irony is that L'Rell will be alive. So you can have a Mary Schieffer in correct makeup, who's now, after the augment virus, all that crap, she now looks like a classic Klingon. Let Mary Schieffer act because there's less makeup on her face. Let her be the character with white hair. She's not a Chancellor anymore because that'd be too long. Way too long, obviously. But she could be like a legendary warrior, etc.
You can even tie in the bomb that was in Kronos that got transferred to Praxis by Section 31. They blew up Praxis to destabilize the Klingon Empire.
Or the Klingons moved it because they said, hey, we need one faction of Klingons that hated the Empire. Like that's a beautiful political time. And Section 31 should be about political intrigue, not about bombing things, about destroying things, about evilness. No, make it about doing those darker political dealings where the main Federation forces are dealing with peace, and they are dealing with, episode 3, rogue Klingon, kind of like Discovery in a sense, but done properly. Rogue Klingon House has designed a new battleship which can't fire while cloaked, but can do something else. Maybe it can fire a new Polaron phase beam array that can go through shields. And then you have to send Section 31 ship to deal with it. Blah, 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 blah. You can have a cool show like that. And in fact, I think that's enough of a sell. You get to have that era. You can have Ethan Peck as older Spock, put him in Rathacon. I mean, obviously he wouldn't look old enough, but I wouldn't care. That's fine. You know what? Don't care. It's fine. He can't age 30 years in 4 days. It's fine. But you can, you can have a lot of those things, and I would be fine with them bringing back, Captain Sulu, have it be after he gets Excelsior Command, have a young actor play. Well, he wasn't young obviously at that point, but a medium-age actor to play Sulu. Give us a Captain Sulu connection like Pike was given some really strong thing. Have George K. back as his dad, so he gets to play Sulu's dad, Admiral, other Asian name Sulu. Straight away, this is like exactly as it could be, and they can develop the art design, because the TMP era is actually quite flexible. Keep the basics, but you can have a few things with that. The sets are darker, they're more budgety. The LCARs are more close. I think that would be a really strong pitch for a era, anyway.
I'd agree. I like that. I like the whole tying with Sulu and everything, and even Ethan Peck as Spock. But the problem is you can't butcher the art design and the universe like they have done, because it just piss more people off. Like they'll be double, triple, quadrupling down on ruining Prime Universe.
But the thing is, they're the movies, so the detail's higher. That's always the gimmick, is that, the 60s doesn't look good. Well, the movies look amazing still. You can't say the movies have not aged well, they have. So just like the Star Wars movies, they should not change a damn sausage, just make new things. They haven't got an excuse. Like even the tactical, like the Star Trek 6 phaser is like the Section 31 phase from Discovery. They're very, very similar. So clearly the art design holds up. But
they're not going to think that. They want to put their own mark on it. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that whole discussion. That would be a great idea. I don't think they're going to do that though. I think they will tie it in with the Captain Pike show. But I would like to. I wouldn't mind a scene, honestly, where she talks to Ethan Peck and says, "Your sister did this and this and this," so that Spock knows she's fine. More so than just a red signal. I can see that also being a thing. That's why I think tying into the Captain Pike show Strange New Worlds and coming on board. We're picking up a special, envoy, and she beams on board, and it's like the look on Pike's face right before a commercial break. Da-da-da-da.
I mean, she's the one character that I could see breaking all the temporal laws and just telling what happens, but that's the trickiest thing. Like, it would almost be better that she comes and sees no one she knows, and just be, Georgiou's half-sister. Because I don't feel like they could actually actively say it's the same character, because of just the way, she's been called, she's been officially classified as dead twice in 3 years. Bring it back a third time publicly, and even in Section 31, like, you can't be that secret.
It would build up Georgiou as one of the best captains ever. I think she was on that list of the best captains ever on Discovery when Saru pulled it up, which was laughable to say the least. But she is the same though. She's got the same fingerprint. She has the same DNA because she's from her universe, she's got that little bit of a discrepancy.
No, I just mean that people ask too many questions, because if she's been registered dead 3 times, start Googling her, confirmed dead 2265, confirmed dead 2269, but yet still has a service record,
She's a special operative. That's the point. That would all be redacted anyway.
No, it would be.
I'd like to see them pull up a file and have it all just redacted. Oh shit.
Basically, we don't know what it could be. That's why pushing it further in the future kind of helps. You can do a bit.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, they'll do it in the Discovery era because then they can reuse everything. I mean, it's the cheapest thing to do, and then they get away with it. Because no one's expecting these shows to go 9-10 years to TOS. You know what I mean? So as long as there's like 5 years before TOS, you can still say, eh. Because remember, Discovery's now out of TOS, so there's no longer years until TOS, and hopefully Strange New Worlds will be better. Because remember, they're not going to reuse Discovery sets for their sets. So when they build their sets, you would assume they'd build TOS modernized sets rather than Discovery altered sets. And as long as we get close to TOS modernized, like Transporter Room, etc., remember, there's all going to be fresh sets. As long as they're mostly the same as updated, we can accept them as being, yeah, that's what TOS look like. Like, this is their big chance, and they know that, but they can really win that. Because now they're on the Enterprise. Like, you can fudge up another alternate ship, who cares? Especially Shinjo is meant to be... Remember, Shinjo was an old ship. That's how John Eves got around mentally a lot of its design features. Oh, it's an old ship. That's how we used to do it 50 years ago. And then, everything of the era looks like that. Oh, Stuart. We'll see. But at least the show might be Y on Earth, but the character has been improved dramatically in the last, 4 episodes. So... where we once were, who the hell cares? I think she's the weakest part of Discovery. She's now you know what? She's no longer Space Hitler. She has some remorse again in her life.
What do you guys think about the Star Trek 6 tie-in, the movie era, and then also Strange New Worlds? What would you like to see? Put it down in the comments below. As usual, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell icon to all. Very important. Hit that like button and share this video around. And there's other ways to help us as well. Right, Samuel?
No.
Oh, we'll find that.
But if you were to go back in time via the Guardian Forever and go to an unknown place, then you might get the unusual special options on our YouTube thing in the description. All those links are only there to those that have gone back in time. So if you're that special person, go look. Oh my goodness, you can buy some merch through Teespring. Use the code Trekyards and Eaglemoss. Those are great ways to support the channel, or directly as well via PayPal, Patreon, joining the channel on YouTube, or Super Chatting on YouTube. All great ways, all important ways, all essential ways. And we thank you for any and all in advance.
That's right. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain
Foley.
I'm Commander Cockings.
I'm Captain Foley.
Yep, we'll see you guys later.
We will. Bye guys.